Welcome to Mother Daughter Projects. I'm Steph.
I'm Vicki.
And it might look like we're in a construction zone, and kind of we are, but kind of not. So we're in a room of Mom's house, and a year ago something bad happened, and we're just now getting around to actually be able to share it in a video and starting to actually get a handle on it. So Mom, what happened a year ago?
It was so traumatic that it took us a year. But I had a water leak, a major water leak from this bathroom behind us. There's a toilet that is not used very often, and we don't know how long it had been going on. But I walked in this room to find something, and the carpet was all wet, and I walked in the bathroom, and the mat in there was totally wet. So of course, first thing I did was text a picture to Steph and say, hey, I've got a problem over here. So she was very clear-headed, and she said we need to call Silver Lining, which is the company that did our carpet cleaning and tile cleaning, which also does water mitigation, and that's exactly what we needed to do. So we started doing a few things before he showed up, and then he showed up and took care of the rest.
And we actually did a full video about kind of floor cleaning with Silver Lining like a year ago, so we'll put a link to that below. And a big thank you to Robert and his whole team for helping with this and getting us to where we needed to be, where we didn't have mold in the house. All right, so let's look at some of this damage. Once I arrived at Mom's house, we, including my dad, worked on emptying the room and pulled up the carpet to see how far the water had traveled. Here's a good overview. All of this is wet soaking concrete, and here you can see where the lighter concrete is where the leak actually stopped. The carpet pad and carpet were soaked. And this right here is where the leak originated. It was a slow but powerful leak. We had bought a Ryobi Smart Moisture Meter a while back and decided to try it out. You can see 100% that's pretty wet drywall. We were in contact with Silver Lining Carpet Care and Restoration at this point, and Robert suggested we cut a small hole in the drywall to see what the situation was. And everything was soaked. It didn't take long for Robert and his team to arrive. He checked everything with his moisture meter and documented everything, and his conclusion was the same. There was a lot of damage and we needed to clear it out ASAP. So the first step was to take out the baseboard right behind the toilet, and this gave us a good look at how far the water had traveled. You can visually see differences in the wet and dry parts of the baseboard. And here he is explaining how the water traveled down the wall and spread out from there. He's showing mold development on parts of the baseboard and started to take out the tack strips that hold the carpet down as they had started to mold. He's using his hands to pull out some of the drywall initially because it was so wet, but he'll make a clean cut in the end. He's repeating the same process on the other side, which is the bathroom, and the same thing, the quarter round and the baseboards were saturated with water. He's explaining the travel path of the water here and where it was trying to find low places to travel to.
So, when I was telling you how it traveled to the door jam, see, it's like a track.
Yeah.
We also learned that you do not want to use fans to dry out this kind of flood because it will spread mold spores in the air, and that will spread throughout your house via the AC system. The proper tool is a dehumidifier, which he has set up here with a drain line into the bathtub to collect the excess water. He also set up a HEPA filter to protect from the mold and vented it out the window. Robert quickly determined the carpet could not be salvaged as it had taken on too much water, and even when dried out, it would never lay properly flat again. In order for it to be removed, his team began to extract the water, which drained into his truck outside. Here Robert is finishing up the drywall cut and also found damage on the door frame, so he went ahead and removed all that, as we're going to have to replace the whole thing at some point anyways. He continued to cut out all the damaged drywall so we would not have any mold issues in the house. We're most concerned about trying to fix the drywall right next to this tile shower surround, but that's for another video. We also obviously will be replacing the toilet eventually, but we're not going to remove it until we're ready to replace it, as that would just leave a big hole open to the sewer, and that would smell in the house if the toilet wasn't there. For good measure, he cut a section out of this wall And this is actually a wall we've been wanting to take out of this bathroom for a long time, so we had no problem with him doing this cut as well. But we didn't actually find any water that had traveled into this wall. Silver Lining did all this demo and took away all the damaged materials and disposed of it properly. We would not have known the proper tools or procedures to use if we had not hired professionals, which we would 100% do again in the future for any kind of water mitigation issues. Lastly, Robert sprayed some mold killer on the exposed 2x4s.
What we learned! I keep learning this lesson over and over. If you're a homeowner, leaks are going to happen. I have owned 3 houses, been a homeowner since 1978, and have had major leaks or plumbing problems in all 3 of those houses. So the lesson I've learned is you need to be a little proactive, and one of the things that we've started at Steph's house is to use a water detection device. It's a flow by Moen, and we just did a video about that. It looks like it's a pricey device, but in the long run it is not. So smart leak detection is one way you can start. And then another thing you can do is, like for your washing machine, you can buy a pan to put that in, so if there's overflow, at least it's going to be contained. And also you do the same thing with your water heater. And then another thing is just to visually look at your connections for your toilets, your sinks, all of those things, and just make sure they're secure and nothing is slowly leaking.
And lastly, look at your water bill, because if your water has actually gone up, you might have a leak. Both Mom and I have had an issue with that, so keep an eye on your water bill. Don't just have it on auto pay without looking at it.
Ooh, that's a really good tip. Yes. Mine was actually $200 higher, so I knew there was a water leak someplace.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So something we didn't talk about in the video, but there was a piano in this room, and the legs of it were actually made of particle board, and they had kind of like a nice veneer over that. But the particle board, if you know anything about particle board, it just soaks up water. It's like a sponge, and it's almost impossible to get it fully dry. And we didn't actually realize that there was an issue until a couple weeks later. Mom smelled mold. She looked at the legs. It was covered with mold. Really gross. Sorry, but here's a picture. Yes. And so we tried different ways to get that mold under control, but it really never worked because that particle board just kind of soaks that up. So we have a really good woodworking friend that actually took the old legs and made an exact replica, but out of hardwood, and way better than before. And then we were able to put those wheels on, and we actually put the piano on, or put the legs on.
Put the legs on. Actually, their feet.
Their feet, sorry, yes. And we put wheels on the bottom of them now, casters, so that we can move around the piano, and if there's water in the future, it doesn't soak right in, but it probably won't because these are hardwood and not particle board.
You would not be able to tell that they were duplicates of what was there before. They are amazing.
Yeah, so the tip there is find a good woodworking friend.
Find a good friend.
Have good friends, because they're awesome. So thank you, Anthony, for that.
Yes, thank you, Anthony. It's amazing. After this initial damage that we found, I discovered about a week and a half or 2 weeks later, I had damage in the other room on the other side of this bathroom, which is my sewing room. So again, texted Robert, and he came right over. I think it was a Sunday too. Came right over, brought the dehumidifiers. Luckily, that damage was not as extensive. We got the floor dried out, we got the carpet dried out, and we ended up putting a new baseboard in. But that could have been a lot worse.
So far, what we've had to pay for is the water mitigation service. So that was about $1,200. And we ultimately, we didn't go with insurance to cover this because, well, my parents, it's their house. They decided not to because of their deductible and because we knew that there was going to be a lot of projects involved, and we thought we want to be able to be part of that process and kind of start working on them when we can. So we will be working on these for the next few months, years possibly. There's a lot to do. This bathroom used to be my bathroom, and I've always wanted to take the wall out in between the sink area and the toilet area. So we're going to finally do that, and we're excited about that. And we will be hiring professionals for things that we're not comfortable with, and only DIYing things that we are comfortable with or have consulted a professional with. We'll be sharing that whole process with you, and also the price that kind of it all comes into. So if you, I don't want to say like this video, if you don't like water in your house, or you're excited to follow the journey with us to kind of see how it all comes together, please give us a big thumbs up. You can also hit the subscribe button, and you'll be the subscribe button and the bell notification, because you'll be alerted to when we post new videos. And if you want to see more projects from us, be sure to visit us at motherdaughterprojects.com. All right, let's get to work, Mom.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Bye.